Hello everyone, Coach Jo here. So today we're going to talk about the psychological side of dealing with injuries. Because there are a lot of questions that you can ask when dealing with an injury. There's a lot of things that you may need to work through when you're dealing with an injury. So let's get into it. So one of the biggest things about dealing with injuries is missing events. Missing races, missing games, missing any kind of event that you're training for. So the first question that may come up comes before the injury, and that is the question of how can I avoid missing this event? I'm training for this event, I'm putting in all this work, how can I make sure that I get there and am able to participate? And the things that you need to think about when trying to avoid missing events and avoiding injury is to think about prehab. Things like making sure you're getting your warm up, making sure you're getting your cool down. Because if you don't warm your muscles up, warm your joints up, that can lead to injuries. And then if you're not cooling down, that can lead to injuries later on between sessions or in the next session or something like that. So make sure you're getting that warm up and that cool down. And things like foam rolling and stretching. Use that foam roller to roll out any tightness and knots and things like that. And, things you can use things like softballs or tennis balls or something like that to really dig in there. Loosen the muscles up. And stretching, you need to make sure that you're getting both dynamic and static stretching. Dynamic stretching is when you're moving through the stretch, and static stretching is when you're holding the stretch. And dynamic stretching may also be a stretch and release, things like that, and that will help avoid injuries, because if your muscles are stiff and tight, then they're easier to pull and it becomes easier to injure yourself. And loosening up your muscles and working on a little bit of flexibility with stretches helps you be able to run through that range of motion, which will help avoid injuries. And it's also very important to avoid overtraining. Avoid overtraining and avoid under-recovery. And what this means is that you need to take your recovery days seriously. Take those lighter days seriously and only do your recovery workouts. And make sure that those recovery workouts are actual recovery workouts and not the same kind of workouts that you do other days of the week. And this is important because if you skip those recovery days, you're not going to give yourself time to recover from regular training sessions. And if you don't give yourself time to recover from regular training sessions, that leads to injury. That leads to compound injuries with the little stresses that you put on your body through regular training sessions will build up and not have a chance to heal and recover on a regular basis. And this leads to injuries. So that's a very important thing to think about, is to take your recovery days seriously. And also, you need to rest. You need to make sure that you're getting rest. Sleep. Make sure you're getting sleep, make sure you're getting rest, and give your body time to heal and rest on a regular basis. And another thing is to avoid unnecessary potential for injury. So don't go out and do crazy things, don't go out and pull stunts and stuff like that. That's kind of a little bit of a no-brainer. But also, you may have to miss out on some fun things. You may not want to go on that hike. You may have to miss that hike or that day at the lake, or at least getting out on the boat and things like that, because those things pose a potential for injury. Even though you might not really think about it, there's still a potential for injury there. So if you're coming up close to an event, you might want to stay with your workout plan, stay with your training plan, and avoid things that may lead to injury. And you don't have to get crazy and not go out and do anything, but avoid unnecessary potential for injury. And really, beyond the no-brainers of things that you may recognize and now, yeah, that's kind of a little stupid, but think about things that may not be so obvious that may pose a potential for injury that aren't necessary. And the next question is, so what if I am missing an event? What do I do now that I do have to miss this event? And this comes down to really about how you think about it. And you have to understand, and you have to remind yourself that you are making the right choice. You're making the right choice by stepping out. You have to give yourself time to heal. If you're injured, you have to give yourself time to heal. And if you try to go compete on an injury, it's not going to go well. And you're not going to be giving yourself the time to heal. Or if you keep trying to train and get to that event, you're not going to be giving yourself the time to heal. So taking time off, missing the event, if you have to, is the right choice. So tell yourself that you are making the right choice. So that's the first thing, is you're making the right choice. And then the next thing is that you may think, oh, all this training is wasted, and I've wasted all this time and all this energy and all this effort and this training, because now I can't go to the event and all this, I've worked so hard. Don't think like that. Don't think like that. It's not for loss, okay? It's not for loss. It's not wasted. Think about your next event, okay? I am taking all the training that I've done and I'll funnel it into the next event. And you also need to understand that all of the training that you've done, you won't lose all of it. And what you do lose, you will gain back. And another thing that you need to think about is that goes along with gaining back what you've built, is to keep moving as much as you can. So you can't train and you can't go to the event, but do keep moving as much as you can. Do as much of the range of motion, the ROM exercises as you can. Do what you can while you're injured. And that will also help build back faster once you've healed. So don't just sit through things and don't just completely sit out, but do move as much as you can while you're injured. And then think towards that once building back once you've healed and that next event, and know that all of the time and energy that you've put into your training is not wasted. And now we kind of move to the question of missed training sessions. So you're not missing the event, you're still planning on going to the event, but you've missed training sessions along the way. And you may feel unprepared, or you may feel like you've lost progress, or something like that. And what you need to think about with this is, first of all, one missed session is not going to ruin your training. And that, we kind of know that cognitively and intellectually, but on an emotional level, it can be hard to realize it's not going to ruin your training. And so, and it also goes back again to understand that you're making the right choice. Just like when you have to sit out of the event, when you have to sit out of a training session, you're making the right choice. You have to give yourself time to heal. And that is something, a big thing to think about when you have to miss a training session as well. And another thing that you need to think about when you have to miss a session is that, or multiple sessions, is that once you've healed, the more that you build, the more skill, the more strength, the more progress that you've made during your training up to this point. If you do have to sit out of multiple training sessions or a training session or anything like that, once you get back into it, you'll build back faster. You'll get back into it faster the more you've built up. So even if you do lose some of your progress, you'll build it back fast. You'll build it back faster the more that you've built up. So keep training and know that you will build back. So it's not completely lost. So these are just a few things to think about when you get injured, when you might have to be dealing with missing an event or missing training sessions or anything like that. And just a few things to think about to help you process it or help you deal with it. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that it meant something to you. If it did, please do give it a thumbs up and subscribe and ring that bell icon so you don't miss the next video. And remember, train hard and stay inspired. And I'll see you next time.